Hey guys, how's it going? You know, it's the beginning of a new year. I'll be completely bald. Yellow Ackie, Reptile. Hey guys, how's it going? Today, we're going to be focusing on Ackie Monitors, specifically myths and misconceptions about them. I got this idea from my Discord, so if you want to plug ideas in and possibly vote on when I'm going to do those ideas, definitely join the Discord. That will be in the live chat to your left. Left of my head, yeah, left of my head, and in the description below. Also, Misha, no, I'm not shaving my head. At number 5, we have you should not feed your Ackie Monitors daily. This is a myth, because you can. Ackie Monitor feeding, while I do it 3 times a week and do it more in bulk, you can do that at any spread ratio. I don't know if ratio is a good term to use here, but I'm using it. And that basically means that you can feed every day if you wanted to. It's just all about the quantity. I feed my Ackies roughly 6 or 7 dubia roaches per feeding when I offer them, depending on the size. They're usually around an inch, but more or less. But basically that's what I do, and if I wanted to do that daily, I could split that up into 2 dubia roaches a day or something, or probably even more, because that's one feeding 3 times a week. It would probably be like 3 of them or something every day. So you can do something like that. In terms of any science behind it, I don't really know. There's nothing really specific to Ackies that probably focuses on that in-depth of a guide to feeding. What's better, daily or feeding some multiple times a week? I don't know. The big benefit I can see for yourself feeding multiple times a week and not daily is that you don't have to remember to feed them every day. You know, some people can get very busy and schedule their feedings around their busyness, so it's kind of a lot easier to plan that and make that happen if you don't have to do it every day and remind yourself every day, and you know, some days you just can't make it happen. But in terms of health, I'm not sure, but that would be an interesting study. By the way, guys, make sure if you haven't to check that lower right-hand corner and hit the subscribe button. I would very much appreciate it. Coming at you at number 4, we have Ackie Monitors are a terrestrial desert species. That is a myth. Now, yes, Ackie Monitors use a lot of the ground, and they're a partly terrestrial species. But I think a big argument can be made, and is probably true, that they are semi-arboreal. Arboreal in definition means living amongst the trees. Now, there's not a lot of trees, let's say, in their environment, but there's a lot of rocky outcrops, and that kind of brings me to that desert part. Ackie Monitors, while primarily their range is in a desert portion of Australia, they do reside along coasts where there's a lot more lush, a lot more of those trees that they could potentially climb, and I'm sure there's pictures, and if I found one, boom, right there. There is a range of Ackies that do live in a more tropical environment, and it's not all pure desert species. And there's that famed island off the northern coast of Darwin where there's supposed to be those black Ackies, and I believe that's a very tropical-like island. And we referred to this a while ago, and I think that Ackie Monitor humidity debate video where we talked about Ackie Monitors actually living in a range where there's a pretty high humidity on average compared to their primary range of being in the desert. So yes, don't always associate Ackie Monitors with being on the ground. I think it's more acceptable that they are semi-arboreal in captivity, but less accepted that they're not always a desert species, and they do enjoy some of the aspects of tropical life. Number 3, and a very bold statement I'm about to make, is that Ackie Monitors from the same clutch that you've raised together in the same enclosure since they were babies, they are not more likely to get along. I'm sorry, this is a very kind of accepted thing I've seen, although it's not very much talked about. I don't see everybody screaming it, but basically a lot of people believe that if you house members of the same clutch together since they were babies, they have a higher chance of getting along and being in the same environment and same enclosure together for all their lives. I don't see any evidence suggesting that. My personal experience has shown the exact opposite with Asus and Dell. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm sure it could be studied, and that would be a much better way about going about this claim. But I think due to the popularity of the statement, I want to come out and say it's a myth. I don't think it's true. I've seen counter evidence to it, and I think it's something that needs to be explored further to make that claim. So I wanted to throw this in here and be a little bit controversial. Let me know what you think. And yet another fun one at number 2, Ackie Monitors can determine their sex based off their group members. So basically, let's say you have a trio. One of them would determine to be female, maybe even 2 of them. So you have 1 male to 2 females. Biologically, that would probably make sense in terms of natural selection and promoting the good genes and evolution. But that's not observed really, and there's been really no hardcore evidence that that's plausible. Now, there was a fascinating article I read about Boyd's forest dragons switching from a male to a female when the male died in a zoo in Australia. I kind of forget all the details, but I remember checking that out. So who knows, maybe it is possible, but this has not been observed, this has not been studied. This claim is just, it's a urban myth. It's not something you should really rely on, and it's nothing that's really fruitful. So right there, this is a myth, and I think it's pretty clear this is a myth. And hey, if the study that comes out eventually says this and gives me bad press, well, at least I get more views. And finally, at number 1, this one has a little truth to it, but I want to explain it further. Red Ackie Monitors are more aggressive, for lack of a better term, than Yellow Ackie Monitors. Now, I do see, and this is just anecdotal evidence, it's nothing hardcore and nothing studied, but I do see how it could be more difficult, or it's perhaps more difficult to tame down a red than a yellow, just off of my experience. But that does not equate to more aggressive. I think it's just you might have to put in a little bit more work, and even that I can't really say is not a myth in itself. I think that it's just you gotta put in the work that's necessary. I mean, I've worked with Asus and Dell since they were babies, really thoroughly, and LG was really docile since he came here. And my 2 reds, I've gotten them a couple months now, and they came as adults, and it's just different. You can't really compare the 2 together, you know what I mean? To say one's harder than another. Yes, my reds are a little bit harder to tame down than the Ackies I've experienced so far, but there could be a lot of reasons to it. So ultimately, I think while both could be a myth, and very readily could be a myth, that they're not only aggressive but harder to tame down, I do think there could potentially be a little bit of merit compared to the other myths we talked about in this video to the whole idea. But again, this is something that needs to be in a controlled study where it's not just based off of these random experiences with different atmospheres and environments around them and time frames and stuff like that. But I'm claiming right now that this is a myth. Anyway guys, those are my 5 Ackie Monitor myths and misconceptions. Let me know if you'd like to see a Tegu version in the comments below. Couple announcements. Shout out to the patrons. I'm running out of room on my forehead. I want to welcome Toothy Chicken. Thank you for the tier 3 Patreon subscription. I really appreciate it. I'd like to thank Darian J, Herp M, Smooth Cat, Angela L, David T. I got it guys, don't worry. No, I don't. Toothy Chicken, Angela L, David T, Darian J, Herb M, Smooth Cat, Hex, Stephanie S, Ellen M, and Cat and Rick. There we go, guys. I really appreciate your support. You guys, too, can support the channel for as little as $1 a month. We're $5 away from 100 on Patreon a month. I'd really appreciate it. Tier 3 gets you on my forehead. Also, check out Reptilinks. You could get $5 off your first Reptilinks order by using code Professor Herp at checkout. We have a direct link that applies that coupon below. You guys have been using it a ton, I've heard, from Reptilinks themselves. I use it for Frapp. You can also use them for hognose snakes, blue-tongued skinks, and more. They're really nutritious and a great staple diet, so definitely check them out. Anyway, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Check out the merch as well. That's to the left of my head, right of your screen, and I'll see you in the next video. See you guys.